At the cradle of humanity, beneath the vast canopy of an ancient African sky, a primal question echoes through the lineage of our shared ancestry. What is the source of all being, the wellspring which life itself pours forth? Just as rivers carve their paths and nourish the land, there exists a current, a grand flow of mythos and wisdom coursing through the bedrock of African cosmology. Central to this current stands a figure both profound and enigmatic, a symbol of life's genesis and never-ending evolution, the Great Mother. The Great Mother archetype, omnipresent in the rich tapestry of African thought, mythology, and spirituality, is not merely a character but a fundamental principle, an epitome of creation and guardianship, destruction and renewal. Through her many faces and myriad names, she presents herself as the full cry of existence, birthing stars and guiding spirits, weaving destinies and unraveling the mysteries of what it means to be alive. Join me on a journey to delve into the heart of African cosmology, to unravel the veils shrouding the Great Mother in mystery. Through myths that have been whispered alongside riverbanks, sung in the rustling leaves of sacred groves, and celebrated in the vast arenas under open skies, we venture into an exploration that transcends mere account. We seek to understand how the archetype of the Great Mother shapes consciousness, molds cultures, and furnishes every seeker with keys to unlock profound awareness. As we traverse the timeless landscapes painted with stories and beliefs, we'll embark on a quest to distill complex concepts into comprehensible insights without diminishing their depth and meaning. With reverence, curiosity, and the embrace of both scientific insight and narrative nuance, we endeavor to comprehend the quintessential nature of the African Great Mother, an understanding intertwining the roots of human experience with the perennial tree of universal truth. So let us start at the beginning, at the water's edge, where ripples speak of cycles and life is an eternal dance. Let's gather around the shared fire of inquiry, where wisdom is our light and questions are keys to doors unseen. Together we tread into the heart of ancient wisdom to answer that deep primal question, the inquiry of where we come from and, more profoundly, who we are within the cyclical embrace of the Great Mother. Chapter 1. The Ouroboros, embracing the cyclic journey from unconscious to the conscious in African divinity. 1. Introduction to the Ouroboros. At the core of Africa's rich spiritual heritage is the enigmatic Ouroboros, a serpent consuming its tail. This enduring symbol transcends simple iconography, encapsulating the cyclical journey of being where each end is a fresh beginning. It manifests the profound African worldview that perceives the universe as a fluid, endless loop where creation and destruction are indistinguishable, both pivotal to the rhythm of existence. The Ouroboros' image of self-devouring captures both unity and duality within its secular embrace, symbolizing an archaic, cosmic totality. This serpent stands as a guardian of wisdom, enshrining the paradoxes of life and death, masculine and feminine, the yin and the yang. In African mythology, it does not merely occupy theoretical space, but is imbued with tangible narratives that intertwine land and sky, fertility and drought, illustrating the intimate connection these elemental forces share with human awareness. Moreover, the Ouroboros is emblematic of preconscious, representing the deep abyss of awareness, the time before discernment and separation from the greater whole emerged. This symbol denotes an original state where human consciousness was yet to evolve, where no lines were drawn between the mortal realm and that which lies beyond. Herein, African wisdom recognizes the ancient, undifferentiated union with both nature and the supernatural. Through such profound symbolic representation, we begin to unravel the tapestry of African divinity, charting a path from the chaotic waters of creation filled with potent celestial beings to the dynamic roles maternal archetypes play in guiding humanity's consciousness from primordial shadows into enlightened existence. We delve into an exploration of the Ouroboros within African lore, a true testament to people's deeply ingrained understanding that life, in its essence, is eternal renewal. In exploring this symbol, we must shed preconceptions and embrace a mode of thought that is cyclical rather than linear, where every conclusion opens the door to new inception. For within the Ouroboros lies a reflection not only of African spirituality but also of fundamental psychological processes underlying human development. A maternal Ouroboric cycle that is central to our collective voyage towards consciousness, personal identity, and community values. As such, the Great Mother archetype draws us into ever-deepening layers of insight, challenging us to recognize how these deities are not merely folklore but active psychological figures guiding individual growth and collective enlightenment. In contemplating the ceaseless metamorphoses they represent, we concede that within each ending lies a seed of commencement, a perpetual pledge that as one cycle concludes, another awaits its dawn. 2. The primal waters and chaos in the beginning. The narrative of African mythology often begins in the velvety darkness of primeval waters, a domain teeming with serpentine forms and boundless potential. This tumultuous expanse, replete with pre-creation chaos, is far from being devoid of purpose. It serves as the sacred womb from which order arises, heralding the Genesis as maternal deities steer beneath its depths to mold the essence of life. These creation myths hold the Ouroboros at their heart as the symbol embodying the preordained chaos in which all life germinates. It signifies the nascent, undulating potentiality awaiting the divine spark to ignite existence drama. Every deity that springs forth from these roiling waters carries a thread of this primeval epoch, poised to weave a new tale of reality. Among such quintessential figures is Naunet, the Egyptian darkness who cradles the primeval ocean's mystery within her unbounded realm. She personifies the nebulous abyss, embodying both the latent state before creation, articulation, and the shroud from which light, represented by the birth of the sun god, emerges anew each dawn. Naunet, much like the Ouroboros which she symbolizes and mirrors, much like the Ouroboros which she symbolically mirrors, is the infinite ocean of possibility. Complementary to Naunet are other deities like Mamiwata and Yamoya, presiding over life-sustaining waters with a presence both deeply felt and ineffable. Their domain invokes the intuitive and mercurial essence of the unconscious mind, a wellspring from which conscious thought draws its form. These goddesses not only wield dominion over physical waters, but illustrate the fluidity of transformation from the undifferentiated preconscious into individuated being. The stirring waters of African folklore signify more than just mythological space. They trace humanity's oldest and most profound conceptions of its origins. They remind us that before the structure and substance of reality, there existed a timeless serenity that held within it every possible iteration of the world to be born, an idea perfectly encapsulated in the Ouroboros symbol. In this way, African spirituality illuminates a path that begins in the vastness of the unknown, amid elements waiting to be shaped by maternal forces, changed with infinite power. These primal narrations are not just tales of days long gone. They convey eternal truths about our beginnings and the cyclical nature of all things, echoing through time with a message that remains ever relevant. Out of chaos comes creation, and from destruction sprouts life anew. Three, feminine forces and the dawn of maternity. As the tumultuous dance of the primal waters continues, the realm of chaos silently witnesses an evolution, the gradual emergence of the feminine divine, setting the stage for birth and creation. From within the cocoon of endless possibilities, the archetype of the Great Mother begins to manifest, distinguishing herself as a pivotal force in the matrix of existence. She carries within her bosom both the seed of life and the spectre of devastation, enshrined within the dualistic nature of the creation narrative. The maternal Ouroboros resonates profoundly in the mystical conception, underpinning the emergence of feminine deities who preside over both creation and ruin. As maternal figures take form within the narrative, they echo the cyclical motion of the Ouroboros, emblematic of nature's inexorable cycles. In this sacred interplay, they embody the nourishment and fury only motherhood's vast spectrum can invoke. In Isis, we encounter the epitome of nurturing power within African mythology, a goddess whose essence enables the awakening of consciousness from the formless void. As a matron of rebirth and healing, Isis ushers in harmony and enlightenment. She aligns closely with the symbolic journey of the Ouroboros, facilitating the transformation from chaos to order, guiding beings as they emerge from oblivion into the embrace of knowledge. Yet within the same maternal archetype lies the capability for severe retribution, as revealed in figures like Ajay, a Yoruba deity representing wealth and power. Here, Ajay embodies the paradoxical facets of maternal strength, a harbinger of prosperity, but also a force that can castigate and negate with equal measure. Her influence maintains a delicate equilibrium between genesis and destruction, echoing the eternal rhythm of the Ouroboros. Thus, from within the swelling mist of primeval chaos, the feminine divine ascends, a vital essence that defies simple dichotomies. The Great Mother is seen as a testament to creation's inherent complexity, refracted through the spectrum of birth and extinction, love and wrath. Such deities etched deeply into African tradition stand as pillars exemplifying maternal might in its fullest expression, a true personification of life's fertile mystery and a testament to nature's untamed sovereignty. As consciousness unfolds and its individuals begin to decipher their reality, maternal archetypes offer the key insights and serve as beacons, marking the path towards self-realization and wisdom. They are not mere static figures pinned to ancient stories, but are dynamic entities that continue to contribute to the psychological development of individuals and communities. In their tales and teachings lie secrets that reflect our own transformative journeys, a witness to potency of the maternal imprint on both consciousness and culture. Four. Transition to the Great Mother, from Ouroboros to archetype. As the human spirit ventures forth, seeking to distinguish itself from the primal chaos that is the bedrock of all creation, it sculpts ever more complex representations of the divine. These representations mirror its own awakening, growing from the amalgam of primordial elements toward greater sophistication and understanding. The Ouroboros, emblematic of the cyclical and the eternal, unravels in meaning as the divine takes on a more tangible female form, marking the inception of what we recognize as the Great Mother. In African mythology, she emerges as both shelter and pathfinder, her visage reflecting a profound and comprehensive image of creation and guidance. The paradox woven into the fabric of the Ouroboros symbolism now finds clarity in the motherly figures that populate these ancient stories. As the archetype of motherhood takes shape among deities like Isis, it incorporates and transcends dual concepts by embodying the complexity required for creation. Not only the tender hand that nurtures, but also the fierce might that protects. These divinities symbolize the metamorphosis from indecipherable unity to insightful differentiation, evoking the transition from an existence characterized merely by survival to one enhanced by enlightened understanding. Yemoja's maternal embrace and Mamiwata's enigmatic allure offer facets of the feminine divine that embody elements of the Ouroboric cycle. Yemoja's nature as a life-giver and protector resonates with the nurturing aspect of the Great Mother archetype, while Mamiwata often reflects more complex, sometimes ambiguous aspects of femininity and power. Together they facilitate transformation and transcendence, moving individuals and respective communities from the shadows of ignorance into the light of knowledge. In essence, as human consciousness continues to evolve, it grapples with a natural progression from Ouroboric chaos, a unified pre-conscious existence, to articulated thought forms and deities which reflect its newfound complexity. This evolution is testament to our endless quest for meaning and innate yearning to reach beyond what is known, urged on by these potent maternal symbols that nurture not only creation but also growing intellect and spiritual awareness. Thus marks the journey. What begins with the depiction of serpents and primordial waters culminates in a pantheon of mother figures who personify wisdom, strength, creation, destruction, love, and occasionally vengeance. In their multi-layered roles, these great mothers signify a culture's maturation, just as they reflect the individual's pathway to autonomy, one that forever spirals upward from its Ouroboros origins, embodying both reverence for tradition and the courage to venture into the unknown. Five. Integration of contrasts, blending light and shadow. The quest towards enlightenment in human consciousness is a process of reconciling opposites, a journey where the individual encounters, engages with, and ultimately integrates the dichotomy of light and shadow. The Great Mother archetype, reflected in the myriad of maternal deities of African mythology, stands as the quintessential embodiment of this synthesis, encompassing a dynamic balance that is at the heart of the human experience. In adopting the faces of the Great Mother, goddesses like Isis and Ajay, alongside others, personify this holistic embrace. They wield nurturing love, nursing the seeds of life and wisdom to flourish, yet they also house within them the shadows of a protective and sometimes destructive power. It illustrates the natural necessity for recognizing and combining the broad expanse of human potential. For honor found in creation must acknowledge the possibility of destruction as its counterbalance. Myths and rituals across African tradition harmoniously articulate this union. Each ritual act and story passage not only revered for its cultural significance but internalized as an essential guide to navigating life's manifold shades. Through these narratives, the Great Mother reveals her duality as both creator and annihilator, demonstrating that life commands respect for its radiance as well as its abysses. This realization goes beyond mere acceptance. It is an active engagement with the universe's inherent contrasts woven into personal and collective consciousness. Deities revered for the capacity to bring life and joy are also acknowledged for their strength to unmake and remold. This admixture fuses into the archetype of the Great Mother, a synthesis that represents both compassion's infinite depth and the stark boundaries set by natural law. Within such spiritual practices lies a roadmap for personal growth and social evolution. The Great Mother encourages us not to reject or fear shadows, but to acknowledge and integrate them into the fuller understanding of existence. In doing so, we affirm our ability to stand resilient amidst life's ambiguities, an evolution marked by law that acknowledges both gentle beginnings nurtured under maternal care and the critical awareness of chaos that lies at the edges of our reality. African spirituality's insights offer a profound understanding of our nature, a nature that comprises harmonious balance, symbolized in the cyclical pattern of the Ouroboros, where birth and death, joy and sorrow, beginnings and endings continuously converge. In embracing this totality, we mature psychologically, prepared to face a world where light is defined by darkness and existence is shaped not despite but because of this ever replenishing breadth of contrast. Six, the conscious awakening, emergence from the Ouroboros circle. The journey through the labyrinth of the unconscious, guided by the Great Mother, reaches a threshold, the conscious awakening. As a symbol of the Ouroboros illustrates, there comes a pivotal moment when the individual transcends the cyclic and rises into the realm of self-awareness. It marks the transition from being immersed in the primal waters of potential to stepping onto the shores of conscious identity and purpose. The Great Mother, through her varied faces, Isis, Yemoja, Ajay, and others, extends beyond cultural iconography to manifest as a catalyst for individuation. These deities model the realization of latent potentialities into defined personas. As guardians of wisdom and maturation, they oversee the metamorphosis from a shared germinal existence to that of individuated distinction. Here lies the essence of spiritual emergence, the birthing of self from the collective unconscious. This awakening is not simply about recognizing oneself as separate from the archetypes. It is a profound understanding and integration of their wisdom and strength into personal existence. The Great Mother's qualities, her creative force, her protective fury, her deep intuitive knowledge are assimilated by individuals who are on the path to become fully realized beings. These qualities reflect both intrinsic strengths and challenges uniquely experienced in the journey of self-discovery. The role of maternal figures in promoting this growth is intrinsic. They serve not just as mythological touchstones or spiritual outlines, rather, they act as psychological beacons that signal the path towards self-realization. The realization that these deities are deeply woven into the narrative fabric of culture emphasizes their continuing relevance and power as tools for understanding and interaction with reality. A recognition that individuation is not a solitary endeavor, but takes place within the broader framework of cultural narratives and collective consciousness. Facing the Ouroboros journey then becomes an invitation for both individual and collective evolution. It is a challenge to apply the wisdom of ancient myths to the unfolding present, thereby turning inherent stories into living experiences that can authentically inform our actions and choices. This role allows societies to maintain a continuity with their heritage while at the same time fostering an enlightened approach to current and future challenges, fusing respect for cyclic wisdom with an adaptable understanding that promotes personal and social well-being. The conscious awakening embodied in these maternal deities not only serve as a mirror reflecting our heritage, but simultaneously casts light forward, illuminating possibilities for leadership, sustainability, and empathy in a complex world. As we absorb and express the lessons embodied by these icons, we partake in an eternal process, a journey where each end is a beginning, and where growing out of the Ouroboros circle gives rise to a renewed cycle of wisdom and engagement. Conclusion. the maternal Ouroboros cycle as the path to consciousness. In exploring the rich tapestry of African mythology and spirituality, we identify the maternal Ouroboros cycle as a fundamental pathway to consciousness. The enduring symbol of the Ouroboros offers more than a cultural emblem. It represents the universal human journey from the dark waters of the unconscious into the luminescence of self-aware existence. This journey, deeply enshrined in the narrative of the Great Mother archetype, moves through the cycles of life, with each deity's story resonating with our own pursuit of understanding and belonging. Deities such as Isis, Yemoja, and Ajay not only deconstruct the veil between mortal and divine, individual and collective, but also illustrate the ongoing process of psychological development that transcends temporal and spatial boundaries. The maternal archetype wields profound influence over cultural identity and spiritual consciousness, acting as both foundation and scaffold for personal development. These divine figures have been imparting wisdom on community values and individual growth, subsequently molding the fabric of life across generations. They teach us to harmonize opposites, to blend light and shadow into a cohesive whole, and in doing so, cultivate an understanding of not just who we are, but who we may become. As we reflect on the significance of these maternal figures in African spiritual traditions, recognizing them as key allegories for the journey of life primes us with a deeper appreciation for each perpetual relevance. Each story, each ritual holds within it an echo of the past, a resonance in the presence, and a vibration that will stretch into the future, continuing to shape our consciousness. The Ouroboros does not merely represent cyclical thought. It actively invites us to embrace this mode of thinking as a spiral of growth where one end of a cycle seamlessly ushers into the next beginning. It is this eternal journey that we find imprinted in our collective psyche, a voyage perpetually renewed by the wisdom of the Great Mother, who guides us from the enigmatic depths of potential into the clarity of realized being. In conclusion, our contemplation of existence through the maternal Ouroboros cycle is a profound undertaking that extends beyond mere academic inquiry into the heart of what it means to be human. It calls upon us to reconceive our understanding of life's essence, shaping both how we interpret history and how we manifest our destinies. By honoring the cycles of creation and dissolution, these timeless dances choreographed by the Great Mother archetype, we move ever closer to a fuller comprehension of our place within this infinite universe, a place marked not only by belonging, but also by a conscious, forever evolving, ever aspiring, always moving from shadow into light. Remarks. In Chapter 2, we continue our deep dive into the Great Mother archetype, examining its inherent duality as it manifests in African spiritual traditions. Here, we explore the dual matrices of life, elemental constancy and transformative dynamism, embodied by revered deities such as Mamiwata, Isis, Asaseya, Yemoja, Ajay, and Naunet. This chapter illustrates how the stability and nurturing spirit of elemental femininity intertwine with the adaptive and evolutionary impulses of transformative femininity. Through these figures, we learn that in African cosmology, the harmonious coexistence of stability and change is vital to the universal rhythm of life, and that the Great Mother archetype is a guiding force for individuals and communities to harmoniously navigate life's challenges. So, join me then. For now, this is the House of Horus, signing out.